Good afternoon, everybody, and a very warm welcome to the last webinar of the first day of EDS Reconnect. I hope you've had an excellent day of some quite fascinating webinars. My name's Graham Hutchins, and I'm the marketing manager of Sims International, a specialist distribution company of memory and storage solutions. And today's webinar is regarding Kingston's range of designing SSDs. Now, Kingston Technology is well known globally for its data center, workplace and consumer memory, and also its encrypted flash drives, but also manufacture a range of designing SSDs for industrial embedded computing. Now, Sims and Kingston have been partners for over 30 years, and Sims carry pretty much Kingston's entire range of memory and storage solutions to a wide variety of customers and industries. I'm delighted to introduce all the way from sunny California, Ariel Perez, who is the Global Designing SSD Business Manager, who will be leading today's webinar, and is joined in the UK by Dennis Huizinga and Bala Sivapalan, who are based out of the office in Kingston. So now I would like to hand over to Ariel to introduce the Kingston designing range. Ariel, over to you.
Thanks, Graham. Appreciate it. Happy to join you all from California today. Would much rather be over in person, but we'll get back to that soon enough. Quick introduction for each of us, I think, here is in order. I'm Ariel Perez, business manager for our design-in SSD product line, the business unit here at Kingston. And maybe I'll pass it over to Bala.
Hi, thank you, Ariel. Thanks for having me here. I'm Bala. I'm a field application engineer here in Kingston, and I'll pass over to Dennis.
Hi, I'm Dennis Huizinga. I'm the UK BDM. I look after the designing range, including the SSDs, DRAM. Welcome to our presentation. I hope you're all enjoying the EDS show. Just want to say thanks again for taking the time to come and see us. Just on to the next slide, please, Aaron.
Yeah, we got it.
So just for those of you that don't know Kingston, obviously we've been around for a number of years, founded in 1987, so 30 plus years, 34 years. It's still a privately held company, very financially stable, annual turnover in excess of $10 billion a year, with 3,000 employees globally. We do all our own testing and manufacturing. We'll delve into that a little bit in a second. The key focus business for us, obviously, is memory, DRAM, and then flash products, including SSD, and then we have some other technical solutions. And we're delivering currently 1 million units per day, so just put that into perspective. So what we bring to the designing world is a wealth of knowledge, and we distribute globally, basically 125 countries with over 30,000 locations worldwide. I'll pass you back over to Ariel.
Thanks, Dennis.
That's all right.
All right. So before we jump into the design in SSDs specifically, I wanted to talk a little bit more about the different divisions within Kingston Technology Corporation. Kingston Technology is our division that's focused on DRAM solutions. Kingston Digital is our NAND flash solutions business unit. And that's where our SSDs lie, together with USB flash drives and some other flash-based products. HyperX is our gaming brand. We've got a number of products there aimed at the gaming market. We've got KSI, or Kingston Solutions, Inc., which is our embedded solutions. We'll talk a little bit more about the embedded solutions a little later in the presentation. We've got AVL, or Advanced Validation Labs, that does testing services for large technology and OEM customers. And then we've got KTSD, or Kingston Technology Services, that provides OEM, ODM, and EMS logistics and supply chain services for large customers as well. So let's get into our design-in solid-state drive program and products. I want to talk to you a little bit about what the program entails, and then we'll go into the products themselves. And then towards the end, after we go over some of the embedded and DRAM solutions, we'll take your questions on the design-in program. So I think this is a great forum to talk about design-in SSD. This really is a program that was created for systems designers, system engineers, system builders. We saw a need here for a specific type of product with specific characteristics, which are different from the drives that we build for the consumer channel, for example. So one of the main features of the program is a locked BOM, which includes the firmware. And what that does is ensure consistency from the time you start qualification all the way to the end of qual into mass production. And it ensures that you are buying the exact same bill of materials, the exact same drive that you qualled is what you're going to be getting when you start placing those larger mass production orders. Now, we all know things do change. It's never 100% the same. So when there are required changes, we do very much control and document those changes. And we do that through a PCN program. Parts change notifications are issued and delivered to our customers. So you'll know ahead of time if there's a change coming, and we will provide samples of any new BOM that's required so you can qualify, make sure there's no issues within your specific application. Now, we do have a dedicated team that supports this program. So again, this is a very different business from a consumer SSD, for example. We know there's some in-depth testing and qualification that goes on. And so we have a dedicated group of engineers and FAEs to support that process. And global support is key. Some of these designs can end up being built over in Asia by contract manufacturers. And we do have existing relationships with most of these builders over there. So we can facilitate delivery and building with those partner accounts. And lastly, warranty. These drives do come with a limited 3-year warranty and our Kingston tech support. So let's get into some of the market segments that we cover with these products. This is just a sampling, really. There's a wide range of different types of systems that utilize these design-in SSDs, point of sale, digital signage. You can see the picture in the top right there are some in-flight entertainment units put into airline seat backs. So actually during the lockdowns that began last year, it was interesting around the April timeframe, we had one of our single largest design-in SSD orders from one of these type of customers. While all the planes were grounded, around that time frame, not much air travel going on. Some of the airlines were taking advantage of the planes being on the ground, doing these upgrades, and some of these were coming with Kingston design-in SSDs inside. So lots of other market segments covered. Robots for multiple different markets and business verticals is a very growing segment, target segment for us with design-in SSDs. But again, this list is not all inclusive by any means. So taking a look at the product themselves, we've got everything from your standard, traditional 2.5-inch SATA SSDs to your newer form factors, M.2 SATA, 2280, which is kind of the sweet spot and mainstream M.2 form factor, but also some of the smaller, newer form factors that take up even less space, 2242, and that now down to 2230, which is almost the size of a postage stamp. So some of the key differentiators for this product line versus what we have for the consumer channel are the lower capacity points. We start off with some 64 gigabyte drives, where most of the channel drives are already in the 128 to 256 gigabyte range as the starting point. So some of these purpose-built applications do not require as much storage, and we facilitate that with the smaller capacity drives on design-in. So taking a quick look at our product roadmap. On the SATA side, so SATA is more legacy, but there's still plenty of systems out there that utilize it. It tends to be a little bit lower cost than the newer NVMe products. So you can see in the blue, all those products are launched and shipping, utilizing BiCS4 3D TLC NAND flash. And you can see the different form factors there stacked up, the 2.5-inch SATA, the M.2 2280 SATA, the 2242, little smaller M.2 form factor, and then Msata. So Msata is really a legacy form factor at this point. We do have a lot of the semiconductor and other module houses that have dropped Msata from their lineup. We still see a requirement out there in the market for it. And so as long as there's a need, we can continue to build it, and we will continue to have it in our lineup. Moving on to our PCIe Gen 3 NVMe product line. Again, you can see the drives in blue are based on current generation BiCS4 3D TLC NAND flash. And we do have one in the middle there based on N18 3D QLC NAND flash, which is more dense, lower cost, slightly lower performance than the 3D TLC, but there are applications that can utilize a little lower performance, still better than a SATA SSD at a reduced cost. So we do have a QLC option there. And then down near the bottom, you can see 2230 NVMe SSD, so very small form factor, very high performance, up to 512 gigabytes in that very small design. And down at the bottom is kind of a crossover product for some of our embedded customers that are looking for higher performance, which is a BGA NVMe SSD. It comes in a couple different form factors as just a soldered down package, which is that image on the right. And then we can also mount that onto a 2230 M.2, which is the image on the left. And you have 64 gigabytes up to 256 gigabytes in that very small form factor as well. So what we've been looking at is really our baseline products for the design in program. These are designed to fit, a number of different applications, and typically those baseline products are good enough, but on occasion we'll have a customer requirement for something different, slightly different or majorly different. So we do offer deviations and customizations from those standard parts, and we will work with customers to try and fulfill their requirements. So some of these optimization options and optimizations would be for bringing over a channel parent SKU that has certain characteristics over to the design-in program. We'd simply lock the BOM and make this a custom part. We can also do custom firmware if a customer requires specific corner of performance, let's say in the random IOPS area, maybe a random read IOPS need to be higher. We can do some fine tuning there on the firmware side. We can do things like over provisioning to increase the endurance requirement if this is going to be a high write application. And then we can do things like custom casing, custom labeling, custom packaging. We do have some customers that require those. So while we don't have an MOQ for the standard baseline parts, some of these customizations will require minimum order quantity, typically 500 to 1,000 drives. So it's not really a big number anyway, but we are looking at the level of complexity to do these customizations. All right, guys.
No, thanks, Ariel. So obviously today is primarily about SSD, but we're just going to give you a quick rundown of the other product areas that we do. The obvious one being memory, and now we're actually going into the design-in memory side of things. So our CBD design in DRAM is based on the JEDEC standards, DDR3, DDR4, standard speeds, voltages, and PCB designs, but of course, your DIMMs and your SO DIMMs, and we have some other options available to you, be it hard gold. But the key thing here, as with the SSD, is the lock bomb aspect. So it's consistency through the product's lifespan, but also through the lifespan of your project. So you constantly know that what you get is exactly the same as what you had before, where channel SKUs can have multiple bombs. So that's really a key thing. We work closer with you on the life cycle management, including monthly, quarterly forecasting together with our customers, normal things that a memory supplier would do, but also as part of that, managing any potential last time buys when the product comes to the end of its life cycle. The pricing is, sorry, previous slide, Ariel. So the pricing is bi-weekly. It's not a daily model. Not sure if you know, but the memory market is very volatile in pricing and supply currently. There's some global shortages. So this is something we're extremely good at managing. To be honest, it can feel like sometimes we're dealing with stocks and shares. It's a volatile game, but we are very good at that. We have a presentation tomorrow at 3:30 where Nate from Kingston and Graham, who's with us today, go into that in a little bit more detail, so I won't mention too much there. The CBD range comes with a 5-year warranty as standard, and then we have some failure analysis support on the back of that. And then, as I mentioned before, the PCN notification, the 90 days, as mentioned, the last time buy options, and really working with our customers to ensure that we put in the demo products for testing and qualifying well before obviously the other products life cycle ends. Go on to the next one. So this is just a snapshot comparing it against our KVR memory, which is our more traditional channel memory. Off-the-shelf product. KVR is obviously aimed at more traditional motherboards and systems. We actually have a lot of our designing customers using that when they've got more traditional units within a POS kiosk or whatever it may be. We also do, whilst we're on mentioning it, we also do system-specific memory for the likes of, your Dells, your HP, your Lenovo's, your servers, your desktops, all the usual stuff. So, yeah. The products on CBD are managed at a business manager level, as Ariel kind of alluded to before, and it's more about forecasting in during, your project. And we actually work closely with Sims on that. There's some projects we've done previously where Sims carry stock for our customers to ensure continuous supply. But the key thing here is the lock bomb, as I mentioned before. So there's no surprises there. Where, as I said, the more traditional SKUs can have mixed bomb on that. 90-day PCM with the last time buy, which I mentioned in the previous slide, and then not having daily price changes, but more consistent pricing. 5-year warranty is standard. It's a non-traditional build, but we can obviously discuss that further. And finally, the failure analysis support. We have extremely low failures, obviously well below industry standards. But there's always something, especially when you go away from the traditional builds, issues, BIOS conflicts, and that sort of thing that we're here to help you with and work on that with you. So that's it from me. I'll pass you over to Bala to discuss our embedded.
Thank you, Dennis. Yeah, just a quick overview of the Kingston embedded line. So this goes into 3 categories. So the first category is the storage, so the flash memory and controller in one package option, which is either eMMC, UFS, or Nvme BGA, which Ariel mentioned earlier. They are all built to JEDEC specification. We also offer here the BOM control, as mentioned by Ariel and Dennis. Capacities from 4 to 256 gigabyte. And on the eMMC, we also have the iTemp option available. And also there is a smaller package of 9 by 7.5 option available. The next one is the hybrid option, which is memory plus storage in a multi-chip package, which is either eMCP or the uMCP. So it's either eMMC or UFS. And the EPOP, which is basically a solution that can go on top of the CPU package. The storage option there are offered either in low power DDR3 or low power DDR4. Capacities are for the storage either 4 gigabyte to 128 gigabyte or 4 gigabit to 32 gigabit. And the last one is the discrete DRAM package, which is either standard, so DDR3 or DDR3L, which is the low power option, available from 2 gigabit to 8 gigabit, and also available in iTemp option. So also a quick view on the value added and differentiations. So most of this already being covered by Ariel and Dennis. So so it's really the fixed BOM. So the qualified device and firmware can be provided all the way to the agreed transition, which would be the PCN process that happens around 5 months before the EOL. And at that point, the replacement build will also be available. And also, of course, the last time buy option all the way to EOL to cover basically the transition from the old build to the new build. Also already mentioned by Ariel and Dennis, the great global support in all levels. We also have the pseudo SLC option for the eMMC, which means you can program the eMMC chips to act as a SLC, which basically increases the PE cycles 10 times, which is then almost equal to MLC. Also options available for partitioning, so it can be already shipped as an approved partition structure for the device, and also a PLC formatting option by partition available. Also image preload and data preload are also available as required. Thank you.
Very good.
Oh, thank you, Bala. I appreciate that. It's just to see if there's any questions.
Great. Well, thanks very much, guys, for a real good insight into the Kingston designing range, and plenty there to whet the appetite of any design engineer, I'm sure. There is a question we do have. It's about life cycles. So can you just explain what a typical life cycle of one of the SSDs would be? I know they're all different form factors and capacities, but just to give us a very quick overview.
Yeah, sure. I can take that one. For design in, obviously the life cycle that we're shooting for is as long as possible, right? We know that as the system designer, you want to qual your drive, and then you want to use that same model, that same BOM, for the life cycle of your system. Now, for the SSD, that's not always possible. We're somewhat dependent on our NAND flash suppliers, so the semiconductors that are building the NAND flash do change generations from time to time, but we try to maintain the design in SSDs for as long as we can. Our previous product life cycle prior to this generation lasted a full 3 years, for example. I would say that's a little longer than typical, but it's a good barometer, and something that we strive for is longevity in the life cycle of these design-in SSDs.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks for that, Ariel. Well, ladies and gents, that's pretty much all we got time for. So I would just like to thank Ariel, Dennis, and Bala for joining us today. And if we have any if you have any questions, please contact us via the Sims booth. Other than that, thank you for joining, and have a great day.